history of Windows, it has had a lot of wallpapers that were once included, including winter-themed ones. Today, we are going to take a look and see the origins of absolutely every Windows winter-themed wallpaper. Just as a note, before we begin the video, wallpapers that came from Microsoft Plus, Microsoft Fun Packs, or from the Microsoft Store won't be mentioned in here, because they weren't included in default Windows installations. Alright, let's begin with the first versions to include such wallpapers, them being Windows 2000 and Millennium Edition. Windows 2000 and Millennium Edition both include one winter wallpaper, called Snow Trees, while Millennium Edition has an extra one, as a part of its sample pictures. The Snow Trees wallpaper was taken presumably in Austria by the Austrian photographer Hans Wiesenhofer. The year in which it was taken is unknown, but my guess is that it was most likely taken somewhere between 1995 to 1999. The second image, exclusive to Windows Millennium Edition, is titled Iceberg. It was created in 1999 by Microsoft engineer Matthew Felton, and was most likely photographed somewhere in the Arctic. That was it for the winter wallpapers from both 2000 and ME, so let's move forward to Windows XP. Windows XP, including all editions, has a total of 5 winter-themed wallpapers. 2 from regular XP, 2 from Starter Edition and 1 from Media Center Edition. By the way, this pattern will continue in the next versions of Windows as well. Anyway, the first image, which is known as Winter, is a sample picture that was created by digital stock photographer Mark Karras. The photo itself, like most others in XP, got bought out by Corbis, another company that Bill Gates founded. The forest itself, where the photo was captured, is not known, but we do know when it was taken, which was in 1998. The infamous snowflake profile picture in Windows XP was made by Jim Zuckerman, with the original unedited version having 3 snowflakes. Moving on, the Starter Edition wallpapers, as we all know, originate from various regions of the world, often depicting developing or lesser represented areas. The first, Winter Village, was photographed by Dmitry Karasko in a village near Moscow, Russia. The second depicts Mount Dunajiri in India and was captured by Christoph Voisvix. Windows XP Media Center Edition does not include any winter-themed wallpapers. However, it does feature a sample image titled Freestyle, which shows a person skiing down a snowy mountain. Little is known about the origins of this image, and even reverse image searches provide no additional information. With that, let us move on to Windows Vista. In Vista, there are only 2 snow-themed wallpapers, but in the Starter Edition, there are another 2 which are unique to it. In Vista, without a doubt the most well-known one is the so-called Image 23, also known as the Northern Lights wallpaper. It was photographed by George Lipp at the US state of Alaska in 2005. The second, not as well-known one is Image 4, which was made by Alan Carney at Crater Lake, Oregon. Surprisingly, in Vista Starter Edition, one of the 2 images, or specifically the so-called Iceberg, originates from National Geographic. It was made by the duo John Eastcott and Ivan Monadiak in an unknown location. The second image, that is in Starter Edition, depicts a snowy mountain. It was created by another National Geographic photographer, James Bailey, somewhere in the Columbia Mountains in Canada. Those were all the winter wallpapers in Vista, so let's go on with Windows 7. Out of all versions of Windows, Windows 7 had by far the most included winter wallpapers, with them being 10 in total, though only one of them appears on regular installs and the other 9 depend in which region ISO of Windows 7 you've got. As all of these regional wallpapers don't really have much information known about them, we'll only go through shortly what's actually known about them and move forward. The first, and the one that you've most likely seen before, is the Glacier wallpaper, also known as simply Image 8. It was photographed in 2006 by American photographer Carl Clifton. However, the version that you're used to seeing is actually a lot brighter, since even just dropping the image into my will instantly reveal you that the original photo was way darker in tones. Alright, so for the next wallpapers, we're gonna go through them quickly, because for most of them, I can't really find much information on them. The images came from China, Germany, Japan, the Netherlands and Russia. The first one from China shows the Great Wall of China covered in snow, which was photographed by Liu Liquan. The second photograph is of the Longshan Mountains in China, made by Frank Lukasik. Only one image came from Germany, that being a winter bridge, which was shot by Harald Lange. I can't really find which bridge exactly it was. For Japan, there's again only one image, which shows a red-crowned crane going around the snow. It was made by photographer Jeremy Woodhouse. The Netherlands wallpaper is made by Ren van der Merwe, and it shows a slope somewhere in the Netherlands. Russia has the most amount of winter wallpapers, with the first one being of a mountain, somewhere in Kakasha. It was made by Alexander Kolbasov. The second one is of St. Basil's Cathedral, shot by Grand Sven Ginter. The last one is by Alexander Petrosian, and from what I saw, it most likely was taken somewhere in St. Petersburg. Wow, that was quite long. Let's progress further to Windows 8. Unlike other versions, Windows 8 has the least amount of winter wallpapers included, with it only having one, that being Image 1. Often referred to as Iceberg, the image is fairly self-explanatory, with it just being an image of an iceberg, most likely again in the Arctic. The origins of the image is unknown, since Microsoft did not publicly mention who created the wallpapers in Windows 8 and no confirmed source has ever been identified for a lot of them, but I'm gonna assume that most were made from Microsoft employees. However short the Windows 8 section may be, let us move on to the final Windows version to include snow-themed wallpapers, that being Windows 10. Regular Windows 10 and its betas in total include 3 wallpapers, 2 from the beta builds, and 1 from regular Windows 10. Interestingly, after the Chinese government variant of Windows 10 got leaked in 2020, we learned out that it had a completely different selection of wallpapers. It had a total of 5 winter-themed wallpapers. Anyway, let's firstly start with regular Windows 10. Image 102, or also known as the Blue Ice Cave wallpaper, is only available on install for lock screens and in Team Edition as a desktop wallpaper. It was created by National Geographic photographer Chad Copeland in a really beautiful and rare cave formation, which is a part of the S.E. Mathilsdal Glacier in Skaftafell, Iceland. Now with the other 2 from the beta versions, the first one, which is also used as a default wallpaper from builds 9900 to 10135, was photographed by Franz Pritz. It was taken in Tamongo, Austria. The second image is of a glacier ore from my research, the Grey Glacier in Chile. It was created in the 2000s by photographer Martin Hardy. Alright, so here comes the part where we should talk about Windows 10 Chinese Government Edition. Well, sadly, for all of these wallpapers, barely anything is known about who, where, and when they were created, so we won't even be looking into them. Only thing that is known is that the first image is of Longshan Mountain, China. Windows 11 is the first operating system to officially break the pattern of including winter wallpapers, with it mainly using 3D-shaped wallpapers rather than realistic ones. So yeah, this was it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you really did, you could consider watching my other videos and subscribe if you want to. Anyways, as this is a new style of video for me, feedback is always appreciated. Also, massive thanks to the Windows Wallpaper Wiki, go and check them out. That was it from me. See you tomorrow in New Year's Eve with a tutorial video.